Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interview Monte, who is an officiant in Central Texas area. Enjoy. All right, Monte. So let's talk about your business. Let's talk about what you do. Tell me what city you're in. Maybe even mention your website, and let's go from there.
Okay. So my name is Monty, and I am a wedding officiant in Central Texas, north of Austin and south of Waco.
All right. And tell me about someone wants to have their wedding done, wants you to officiate it. Tell me kind of the process that you go through. So they contact you. What kind of stuff do you have to go through to make that happen? And then what ends up going in the work that you do to get to the day?
Okay. So I always like to know how they found me, because sometimes that gives me a clue about the client. I always want to know what day they're targeting to get married. Some couples have it narrowed down, some don't. The next step is making sure I'm available in that day, time, and location, which is sometimes a challenge. If we come into agreement, that's when they need the services. They put down a deposit, which is a standard process. And then I work on starting to get to know them to be able to customize a script that they would be pleasantly surprised with.
So do you interact with them during that process? I mean, are you spending a lot of time with them? How many hours would you think you put into the process of putting together what they want?
My background's in technology, so I do a lot of Googling. I find you can really get to know your client by their online presence. I have a questionnaire that I forward them, and there's 3 sections. One is the flow of a wedding and the elements they prefer. One is just to get to know them, some fun, cute questions. And then the 3rd section is more particulars, such as things they don't want me to do or things that they would prefer in their ceremony. As far as time, it depends on the scenario. If they have a vision, it makes my job a little bit easier. And if they don't, then I have to kind of extract their vision a little bit.
Yeah. How often do you find that couples actually have a vision for what they want to say and that sort of thing?
I find when you ask them directly, maybe 10% have a vision. It's more extracting the vision. You start asking personal preference questions, and they know the answer to that. But if you ask something vague, such as, what is your vision for your wedding? They don't know where to begin communicating that.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people might have in general, people have a hard time, perhaps.
Yeah.
So once you get that all together, do you go over it with them before the day, or how does that work?
I like to do some checks and balances. So say I have a wedding that's about 2 months out. The first thing I do is I collect the deposit, I send the questionnaire, and then I also send a calendar invite. At that point, they know I heard what they said they wanted, where, when, and how. Kind of. I always copy my admin who travels with me. It's kind of a package deal. She's my contingency plan in case something happens.
Yeah, makes sense.
It happens. We don't drop the ball on anybody in today's world. And so that kind of starts the dialogue back and forth. I'll read a section of it. I'll ask a question or two. And then I have like a 1, 2, 3 week out. At 3 weeks out, I clarify. At 2 weeks out, I confirm. And at 1 week out, I kind of just help their stress level. Like, we've got this planned. Everything's good. There's nothing else to worry about. And I think that helps bring them some comfort.
Yeah. So by this time, how many hours would you say you got into the whole thing?
I've never had to spend more than 2 hours. I think having an assistant helps out. The questionnaire really guides us down to, the elements, the style. Do they want contemporary, blended, traditional? Um, it puts some concrete words there that we can translate rather quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, just with experience, number one, you bring with you the experience of being a wedding officiant. And number two, just being in the business world.
Yeah.
By the time you're 30, 40, 50, you know more than you did when you were 10, 20, 30.
Yeah.
So you kind of can move a little faster and not miss anything.
Sure. Sure. Um, so how many hours do you usually spend at the wedding itself?
This is where I think I differ from some other officiants I talk to. Is if a bride tells me that she wants her wedding at 3 o'clock, I'm going to show up at 2:30. I'm going to touch base with the bride. I'm going to touch base with the groom. If there's a day of coordinator, um, the DJ, music element, and then photographers. Um, I commit to 2 hours, so the wedding can start late,
Hmm.
but it's a 2 hour window is what they receive from me.
I got you.
So if the wedding starts on time, we're done. I don't abandon ship. I'm there. I see something wrong, I'm going to jump up and help. I've cut cakes before.
Yeah. You have to, right? I mean, it's their day. You got to jump in, you know?
Yeah, because you never know what people are videotaping also, and it's reflecting on me.
Yeah.
Um, and I want a good product in the end. I mean, I hate to make it sound like strictly a business, but my reputation's on the line also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I would do the same thing if I mean, at anybody's wedding, I would jump up and help if they needed help. So that makes total sense. So you got 4 hours total probably into this thing, and then you have an assistant plus your years of experience. What does it typically cost for me to hire you to do my ceremony?
Local weddings are just 200, which I think is really a reasonable price. If they're going to be outside, I might even throw them a little bit of a discount. I love to hike a hill or toes in the water.
There you go.
And then, of course, rehearsals you add to it,
Mhm.
longer ceremonies. Sometimes they'll want you to be the day of coordinator and you kind of take on more responsibility.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's good. That's great. So if you had to give couples advice today for hiring coordinator, or hiring, I'm sorry, you had to give couples advice on hiring an officiant, what advice would you give them?
Um, Couples, let's see. Number one, I think they should Google in any industry, you're hiring someone, check them out. Um, you need someone who's dependable, who's got a good reputation. If they have a bad reputation, there's a reason for it.
Mhm.
It's so easy to get a good review. It would really bother me if I was using someone who had several bad ones.
Sure.
So definitely do a little research. Have a little bit of a vision and be able to communicate that vision some. If it's not knowing what you want, at least be able to say what you don't want. It just helps the ball get started.
Yeah, gotcha. So let's focus on the business side of this a little bit. Tell me, what would you say is working well right now in business?
What was that question again?
Uh, Tell me what you would think is working well in business right now.
What's working well? I think I'm finding the right type of clientele, and they're finding me. Having a good match uh, is easy for me to reflect their love story and represent them.
Mhm.
So my online presence is working for the right clientele to find me. Um, that was one thing that's going very well.
Good. So on the flip side of that, what would you say is not working well?
What's not working well is making sure that they understand what my needs are. I can say it, but you think about it, a, a bulk of your customers, your clients have never been married before. They've never been through this process. And sometimes I forget that. And I just need to make sure that when I say something that I check for understanding, such as, you're going to receive the questionnaire. Here's how I need it when I need it. Um, I'm available 24/7. That literally means call me if you have questions.
Mhm.
Um, just checks and balances there.
So you're finding it difficult for them to understand what your needs are, for you to get the information from them to provide for them.
Right. Like they may tell me the venue and never mention it's outside. But there's a
Right.
big difference between outside and inside.
Yeah.
And they don't know that they need to provide that. So it's up to me as the professional to ask all kinds of those questions.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Would you have any, let's say, I mean, you and I are going to retire someday. So, would you have any advice for upcoming officiants in the business?
Um, so this is, the fifth career for me, probably. I haven't even really counted. Um, if your heart's not in it, don't do it. There's so many different ways you can go. You don't have to go down this path. Um, Anytime you're starting a business, don't quit the income when you don't have a replacement income. Um, Secondly, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. There is wheels out there that work. Polish it, make it your own, but don't act like you're reinventing something. And lastly, to give up control, sometimes to have control, you have to give up control. We're not all programmers, build websites, can do the billing, the marketing, the advertising. Be willing to give up the piece that you're not good at. You'll actually gain more control that way.
Yeah, that's great advice because I see that a lot. I mean, as singlepreneurs, right? Um, it's like it's very difficult to do everything, but you have to unless you can, unless you have the resources to hire people to do stuff. I think a lot of people get stuck in I have to do it all. I can't afford to do other things. I can't afford to pay people to help me do whatever. But what you realize though is if you actually take that step to do that, then you can actually free yourself up to do other things. At least that's what I've noticed in my life. So I don't know. Maybe that'll help somebody.
I,
Um,
I agree. I always say instead of hiring one admin, hire three part-timers. Then you can find out what their individual strengths are, put them to work in those areas. When there's a turnover, you're not hurt as bad. Um, the they appreciate the opportunities to have a little bit of flexibility, and then they're each marketing. They're telling their families what you do. They're telling their friends what you do, and so bang for the buck. You just get more out of it that way.
yeah, agreed, agreed. All right. So how many weddings have you done so far?
So I'm a newbie. 2019 was my first year.
Okay.
Uh, I started doing like 10 to 12, and I realized that was more than what I wanted.
Hmm.
Um, and so I backed out. I think a good number for me is 6 to 10 a month.
Okay.
I put a lot into it, so I want to be emotionally present when I'm there.
Right.
Um, I also am finding that I don't want to do more than two a day.
Hmm.
Um, I think if you do it right, that's a good limit.
Yeah, probably. Not killing yourself, right?
Yeah, you're not killing it. Each one is high quality,
Hmm.
um, and you just don't want it to become like a job.
Right.
When you're self-employed, you want to be enjoying what you're doing. And how many times can I eat brisket a day? Every wedding in Texas is brisket.
Yeah, I don't know. I could probably eat brisket every day. That'd be great. Times a day. Since you've probably done quite a few already, what's your best or worst, whatever you want to, wedding story or business story you got for me?
Okay, so something I don't like the grooms doing, but it's super, super cute, is when they just go in for that kiss before I've built up the climax. I feel like I get robbed. But um, I had a guy who did that, and I was not quite ready. And but I can also appreciate his anxiety and his boldness.
Yeah, yeah, good. Um, well, that's it. Monty, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thanks for doing this. Any questions for me?
No, I appreciate this opportunity, and you're out there as a leading industry expert, and I always appreciate the words of wisdom.
All right. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text 520-399-8580 or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.